Hey everyone, and welcome to IG8Live Esports live this evening right now with PGL F1 Wednesday division for round 19 of 21 for the current season ending off, and it's going to be the final season here on F1 2020. Right now it's for the Brazilian Grand Prix, getting started with qualifying one, and it is in I guess about very wet conditions so far. Not as wet as enough as I would expect to go onto the full wet tires, but still wet enough on track that I think it might be just a little bit difficult in terms of qualifying. Let's have a look and see on track what's happening so far, but it seems to be very interesting. Yeah guys, sorry about that. Yep, so let's have a look on track so far. Seems to be a bit interesting with the rain that's coming down. It's not coming down excessively hard at the moment, so I think it's still quite drivable on track. Of course, the drivers are now getting out, so it's gonna still be a little bit difficult for them, at least for the first maybe lap or two that they do take here in qualifying one, and we might start to get some better conditions going over to qualifying 2 and 3. Not sure if this rain will hold on going into the race session itself, but we'll see how well that works out for the drivers on their end. At least for our end, I know it's going to be a little fun watching these guys slide around the track just a bit. So we got 17 drivers in with qualifying 1 at the moment. We might have a few more drivers join on by the time we get on over to qualifying 3 or get over to the race start itself. We'll see how that works out. We do have a few drivers currently on their hot laps going through, so we'll start to see some lap times in here very shortly. Of course, they're not going to be as fast as we probably expect, and that's Irish already invalidating 1 lap there. Let's switch on over to someone else. I think we got Savdar as well running a lap. He's invalidated as well. Going to be very difficult on track here. Brazil is really not too much of a difficult track for a lot of drivers. It's a lot of fun driving around this track, especially racing here, and a lot of fun to watch, but I'm not sure how much fun it's going to be for the drivers, especially in this sort of conditions that we're dealing with right about now. But they're going to have quite a bit of a difficult time getting through their laps at the moment. We do have 2 lap times coming in so far. That is with Tree Slayer currently fastest there, 1:16.0, and Tango's faster now, 1:15.7. Of course, the times will start to get faster and faster as we get on through the session, as they start to just form a bit of a racing line on the track as well, and just rubber in the track a little bit more. We'll start to see a racing line start to form on track already here, as a few cars have gone around. And I think most of the drivers are already out on track, trying to at least get some sort of lap time in. I think they definitely want to just make sure that they can just make it over to qualifying 2, and just hope that the rain at some point does ease off, probably depending on what setups they're running at the moment, especially if the setups are not that well equipped to handle the condition on track at the moment. It's going to be a bit difficult for them. We already know how that's going to work, but we'll see by the time we get onto the race session. It might be a dry race, I'm not sure as yet. We'll probably have one of the drivers let us know what's going to be the situation with the race session itself in terms of the weather and what's going to happen. So far quite a few times are already in, and we'll see where everyone does end up. I think Irish is on a second hot lap here at the moment. Definitely seems so far we got Tango fastest in the session at 1:15.7. Mr. Rage goes second fastest at 1:16.0. So that's 2, I think both McLaren's out in front so far. Not a bad position for them. Tree Slayer dunked in third with a 1:16.050. It is about 400th of a second just slower there. So really quite impressive so far. Even in the wet conditions, they're still getting pretty close out with the lap times as they have it here. Savdar down to 4th at 1:16.5. And Beefy down to 6 right now, 1:16.7. I think it holds up pretty well so far. Then we go into the 1:17s with Mikey there in 6. Maddie in 7 gets a 1:17.5, a 10th down from Mikey's time. And Red Devil in 8, a 1:17.7 for him so far. Got a few cars getting back into the pits at the moment. I think Neil's currently on a hot lap here, getting through. I think he's in sector 2 at the moment. So let's see how that current time is going. But so far so good, and not that good for Neil at the moment. Having a bit of an issue there with the car. I don't think he took any damage, but might have to try that again, because definitely will be a wasted lap there. So let's see how that's going to go through the rest of the session. We got about 12 minutes left in qualifying 1. Still a lot of time for the drivers to work with, but still going to be very difficult getting a lap time that will be able to take them over into qualifying 2. Of course, usually with a grid of 20 drivers, it's usually just the top 15 going over into qualifying 2. At the moment, we got 17 drivers in the lobby here, so let's see how much will be actually going over to the next session. And I think he just hit off one of those advertisement boards that was just on the side of the track. But either way, let's see what's going to happen by the end of this. I think Matt here, Matt is on a lap, probably on a lap, I'm not sure, but definitely having some trouble finding grip at the moment. I think they at least has to get a lap or two in by the time they actually start to find some grip on track here. So not sure how much practice these guys had in terms of preparing for this race. I know most of them would have practiced with a dry track. I'm not sure how many drivers actually took into account that this might have ended up being a wet race or wet qualifying itself. But even if they did prefer for a for a dry race, that is, they still got to account for a wet qualifying session going through. But so far so good in the session. We got at least 14 drivers with lap times so far. Not the best of lap times going down at the bottom of the grid with Neil and Jose there, about 122 and 126 so far. They're going to have to try and improve that, because that might just push them out of qualifying 2 if they're not able to make a better time. Of course, we do have Bradfield and Step still in the pits at the moment. I think they should be getting out in sometime soon though, because we still got a lot of time left in the session, down to about just under 10.5 minutes left for Q1. So just quite enough time for them to actually try and still get a lap time in. We still have both McLarens holding on to P1, P2 on the session with a grid there, 115.7 and a 116.014 so far, with Tango and Mr. Rage. Nick still in P3 at the moment, a 116.032. And I think that's holding up pretty well for him. Definitely will be able to take him over into qualifying 2 at this point. So I don't think he's going to be too worried about the lap time that he has. I don't know, maybe he might be getting out on track just to get a few more laps in, provided that qualifying 2 might end up being a wet session here as well, because it doesn't seem like the rain is easing off at this point here right now. It's still coming down just a bit. It's not as intense as we would expect, you know, maybe going to wet tires, maybe further on in the qualifying session. But at the moment, I think they're still going to be a bit careful with how many laps they're actually running on track. Just trying to make it over to qualifying 2 at this point, and then worry about the rest of the weather conditions going on through the session from that point. We'll see how it goes for them, but so far Irish has not been able to make a lap time in. This thing is probably like his third attempt at this right about now, and I think it might be the wet track that's giving him some problems here right now. Surprisingly enough, most of our drivers are not getting back out on track as yet. They still got a lot of time to get this done, but I think they're probably just waiting to see if the rain is going to ease up at some point here, and probably give them a chance to get out on their dry tires and possibly get a faster time in. Of course, that's going to be a bit of a train wreck going down to the end of the session if that does tend to happen in the last few minutes, because it's going to be just about the right timing to get out on track and possibly get a lap time in on those dry tires, which is going to be much of a faster lap than what we got going on here on the intermediates right now. And Irish just did a 115.896, puts him up into third on the grid so far. Mr. Rage all the way down to focus. Nick went up into second with a 115.865. He's about 300 of a second faster than what Irish lap time was. So quite impressive so far. We still got Tango holding out in front. He seems to be, he just did pretty well on his first attempt at getting a lap time here at Brazil, but holding out pretty well so far. Hopefully that luck will continue with him going over into qualifying 2 and qualifying 3. We'll see how well that holds up. Still 17 drivers in. We'll see if we can have maybe 1 or 2 more drivers join on the session before we get to that race start itself. And we'll see what sort of weather conditions we'll be dealing with then. Probably have a look in Discord, see if we got any drivers letting us know what's happening in terms of the weather conditions for the race itself, because I'm not sure if that's going to be dry or still going to be seeing the same sort of conditions that we got going on here right now, because this rain seems to be just a bit constant as we're following on board with Bradfield at the moment in the Williams. His teammate Irish up into P4 at the moment. Treasley now back up into second on the grid as we speak about that. Is a 115.823 for him, holding off on a pretty good lap time. As you can see, the top 8 drivers so far all in the 15s to 16s, and they're quite close off to each other, so those lap times are going to go pretty well, especially if this was a dry session. I'm quite interested to see how close they actually were going to get, because we're just off by a few tenths to a few hundredths of a second at the moment, and I think they're going to start coming down to just about a few thousandths of a second by the time we get over to qualifying 3, especially if this becomes a dry session going to that point there. It might start to dry out by then, I'm not sure, but it's going to be a bit interesting as well if it does dry out by the time we get into Q3, because definitely we'll see a lot of cars aiming to just get out on the dry tires and possibly get a lap in on those to get a faster time in, because they'll probably go quite maybe like a few seconds faster at least if they do get a chance to get on the dry tires. But so far so good in qualifying 1, down to just under 6.5 minutes, and it's still going pretty well, I gotta say, even in with the rain still on track and just doesn't seem to be going away. But Bradfield goes into 9 so far, 1:16.9 for him, not a bad time. And that's his entire front wing gone. Definitely gonna have to try and make it back to the pit, just to make sure that that lap time holds. And he's causing a bit of an issue on track with a lot of debris there. Might be a yellow flag situation, and I'm not even sure what that was flying around, but we got a lot of debris on track here at the moment. Gonna make it a bit dangerous as well for some of these drivers getting through. That's why we do have a yellow flag situation going on in sector 2. I think that's being cleared off already, so hopefully that is clear for everyone to get on through. So far top 15 ends off at a 1:18.5. Step there with a 1:18.8 and Neil at 1:22.5. They do need to improve their times here at the moment, and hopefully and got Beefy in the chat to tell me it is flying front wings on track at the moment, and I think he's right about it, because it did seem like an entire front wing was up in the air as we were watching those cars go by, so I'm not even sure what was happening. Definitely not a bit of a glitch, because just a bit of incidents happened, but I think the rain is starting to. Let's have a look on board. I'm trying to have a look to see if this rain is easing off at any point here right now, and really it seems like it might have just eased up by just a little bit, but I really can't tell. It does depend on how much grip these drivers are getting on track, but so far it seems to be working out pretty well in terms of the lap times we're seeing, so I'm really not complaining too much. But I think we're enjoying watching a bit of wet conditions on track. Always a lot of fun to watch a wet race as well. We'll see if that does happen as we get to that point. Quite a few more cars getting back into the pits. We have quite a few drivers back out on track right now, trying to make a faster lap times in, as we see quite a few more cars getting into those 1:15s up on top of the grid there right now, as Tango goes even faster and just beat his own lap time. Actually now goes at 1:15.4, and we can see I think the rain is gone, I think, for most sections of the track. We're gonna keep on board right now and see what the situation is, because with just about 4 minutes left, this might result in a situation where if it gets too dry on track, these guys might have a chance to just get out on the dry tires, and I think that's where Tango is in a bit of a hurry right now, getting back into the pits and getting on those dry tires to get out back on track, see if he's able to make a faster lap time. Of course, I think most of them are going to be making it over to qualifying 2 either way. I don't think they need to be too worried about that at this point here right now. As you see, he's losing grip in the intermediate, so definitely is getting dry enough on track. And we might, let's just switch this on over here right about now. I'll leave that on fit so you can see what's going on. As you can see right now, we got Beefy and Cody both, and Tree Slayer as well. They're already testing out the soft tires on the car. They have the pit crew putting that on, because they definitely seem like they're going to be aiming for one final lap here in qualifying 1, and they're going to try and do it on those soft tires to get the best possible lap time, I assume. Yeah, definitely so, because you can see Tango getting back into the pits in a bit of a hurry, and luckily for him, he had the pit limiter on auto there, so at least didn't speed in the pit lane, because that would have been a hefty penalty for him. So let's have a look and see when these guys do intend to get out on track. We can see a lot of drivers right now are switching on over to the soft tires there. As you can see, the red changing from the green now. So definitely going to be getting out on track with that. And we're going to see quite a change in those lap times by a few seconds at least, as they get some laps in on that. They got enough time to do this, because if it's on the intermediates, they're doing 1:15, so 1:16s, and we got 2.5 minutes left. They have enough time to get on an out lap and then get a hot lap started here before the session closes off. So we're going to see a bit of an interesting change happening. We're waiting for some of these drivers on these soft tires right about now to get out on track. I think that was probably Mikey getting out there on the Mercedes, I'm not sure. Someone did get out on the Mercedes. Yep, it was him, and he's getting out on the intermediates back. I would expect to see him going out on those soft tires there. So basically, I think what's happening right out there, waiting on someone to take a gamble on it and go out on the soft tires and see if it's actually giving them enough grip on track. I think that's what they're just all waiting for at the moment. I think all eyes might be on the cars currently on track, and there we go. We got Irish out on track on the soft tires, and he seems to be having sufficient grip at the moment going on. So I'm going to keep on board on his outlap here at the moment. We'll have a look on the overhead cam maybe for the actual qualifying lap and see how it's going to go. But he seems to be having sufficient grip. That track is dry enough at the moment for these tires, so definitely should be able to make a faster time, which means Tango's position will drop from P1 there for the session so far. So let's see how well that holds up, because I'm quite sure he's going to be getting out on track as well, and he's already got the tires on, so definitely will be getting out. 1 minute and about 5 seconds left here, so they got just about enough time to get out on track and get a lap in. And then let's see what's going to happen with the lap times, because definitely going to be quite a change up happening. Neil might have just a bit of a chance here, as well as getting himself over into qualifying 2, because he has a lap time of 1:20, and I don't think that's going to hold up pretty well. Jose at the side of the track there, not having the best of luck, and I think Irish here trying to get a clear track in front of him before he gets started on the lap, as he's getting around the final turn there in sector 3. So we're going to have a look at him get started on that lap right now. So let's see how well this goes, because we're definitely going to be keeping an eye on the leaderboard and see how that change up is going to happen. Unfortunately, Maddie out of the race, of the qualifying 1 session already, because I think he probably crashed that car somewhere on track. I'm not even sure. He probably just retired in the pits. Not too worried about his time, but we'll see how that's going to hold up for him. So at least half of the grid so far on the soft tires, trying to get a faster time in. Irish already getting a purple sector 1, and I assume he's going to get all 3 sectors in purple here, as he might be the first one to set a lap time on the soft tires. We'll see how that works for him. So session time is up here for qualifying 1. We're just working with whatever drivers are currently running a hot lap on track, and that's going to be it for them, which is quite a few right now. So we'll see where we stand at the end of qualifying 1. But it was quite an interesting session, starting off in the wet and then drying off very close off to the end of the session. So very interesting to see how that change up works out. And that's the purple sector 2 so far as well. Fastest lap currently goes to Beefy at the moment at 1:10.7, and he holds on to P1 with that here in the session. Let's see how that's going to change, as we got quite a few more drivers to go across the line at the moment. And there goes Irish. Let's see, he does even go faster now right now, 109.7, an entire second faster. And I think Tango might be coming around very soon. I think he has a racing point in front of him, and that definitely is Tree Slayer at the moment, who currently leads the Drivers' Championship by quite a lot of points. So let's see where he's going to be starting here. And he goes a 108.2, way faster than I expected. And there goes Tango, 108.2 as well. And we're now starting to see quite an even closer separation by a few thousandths of a second. Savdar now takes away the fastest lap in this qualifying 1 session so far. I think we got Bradfield still on the intermediate, so definitely won't be able to see a faster time on him. And 2 other cars getting into the pit, so that's going to probably be it there for qualifying 1. But definitely an interesting change up on the grid so far with the results we have here, with that session drying off so quickly. So Savdar fastest lap 108.201, Tango 108.205, 4 thousandths of a second time difference. Actually quite interesting and quite competitive between those two. We'll see how well it's going to go by the time we get to qualifying 3. But looks like we're going to lose at least 2 or maybe 3 drivers going over to qualifying 2 here right now. Probably 2, but let's see how that works out by the time we get over to the results. I think we're just waiting for that there right now. We're just waiting for, I think, probably Bradfield's car to get into the garage itself before we can have a look at the results here. Okay, so results for qualifying 1 so far. Softar takes the fastest lap, and this one quite an interesting change in the weather conditions for the session, causing that a 108.201. Tango goes second fastest at 108.205, and Treasley went third fastest, 108.247. Iris was fourth, Beefy fifth. We got Nick in sixth, Bradfield 7, Mikey in 8, Maddie in 9th, Marcus in 10th, Red Devil 11, Miss Matt in 12, Cody in 13, Jose 14th, and that's going to be the 14 going over to the next session. Unfortunately, Mr. Race riding 15th step there in 16th, and Neil there I think in 17th. We'll have to start there. Okay, so into qualifying 2 right about now. 15 minutes started on the clock, and it's going to be a dry session with 14 drivers in this one. So let's get a few stats up as we're about to get started here right about now. We're going to keep it on best so we know exactly what tires these guys are running on track on at the moment. And let's see who else is currently out. So following on with Cody at the moment in the Haas, and interesting results from qualifying 1 with weather conditions as it was. So let's see what's going to happen here in Q2. Of course, does seem like the rain is finally gone. I think that's going to be coming back, which means we're probably going to be having a dry race. And if that's the situation, then it means that these guys are going to have to be a bit focused here in qualifying 2 in terms of what sort of tires they're going to be doing their fastest laps on, because that's going to be the set that we have to start the race on, provided they make it on over into qualifying 3. And it does remain to be a dry start for that race itself. So we'll see how that holds up. As you can see, some of these cars on the mediums, that's on the yellow there, and some of these cars on the soft. So let's see what strategy they're kind of aiming for here. If it's going to be a 1-stop or a 2-stop strategy, some of these guys might be doing. They might want to be starting on the soft just to get a bit more of an advantage. Of course, that's going to be a shorter stint running at the start of the race, and we're going to see how that works for them, because if they do start in the mediums, it's going to be a much longer stint, and they do have to account for if we do have a safety car or a virtual safety car at the start of the race, which might lead to some of these drivers taking an early pit stop. And that does change up this entire strategy just a bit, so we'll see how that works. But so now let's keep an eye on qualifying 2, down to 30 minutes already. Time is going to start to go very, very quickly from these drivers here, and we'll see where we stand in terms of our top 10 who are going to be making it on over into qualifying 3. So far so good in this session. Driver performing very well, very competitive with the lap times that we've seen even on the intermediates there in qualifying 1. I think it was quite interesting. So we'll see where we stand at the end of this session here. Got quite a few drivers out on track at the moment. We got a few on the hot laps. 3 of them are still on their out laps and going, and so still a bit of a busy track here in Q2 with at least 14 drivers on. And obviously everything's going to be purple for the sector times for Cody so far until he gets other drivers to bring in some lap times here, and he's about to get across the line as he gets on the pit straight there. So 109.5 so far, and Jose now goes faster with a 108.2, and remember this is on the soft tires right about now. Red Devil now goes into third at 110.5, about a second slower than what Cody did. So we're definitely going to see quite a range of lap times on the first at least round of laps that these guys do here. They're on the second set that they come out to do. We're probably going to see a bit more competitive laps in terms of the way the grid is going to stand. So let's see what that's going to work on. Mikey goes into third at 109.7. So both Mercedes looking pretty good so far. Miss Mats goes 109.8. Let's see where Nick is on track here. I think he just got started with his lap, so still has quite a way more to get around the track here before he actually gets a lap time in. Of course, we got Nick doing this on the medium, so I'm quite interested to see where the lap time is going to be with that. Tree Slayer and Miss Matt did their laps on the medium as well, and both got into the 109s. We had quite a few 108s down in qualifying 1, and there we go. Tango goes fastest in this session at 107.4, and does that on the medium, so actually quite impressive to see that happen. So let's see if the guys on the soft tires can even do a faster lap than that right about now, because he's just almost a second faster than what Jose did on the softs, and those mediums should have been at least 1.1 to 1.2 seconds slower than the soft tires on this track. So this might just come down to do with just a bit on the way those cars are actually set up. And now Marcus goes into second with a 107.9 and did that on the softs as well. Nick goes up into third with his mediums at 107.986. Quite impressive with his time. Gotta say, these guys with the mediums getting into the top 5 at least are going to be doing some very impressive laps. So if both of these guys can do a 107 on mediums, I'm quite interested to see what they're going to be doing in the race session itself. Let's go down to Irish down at the bottom here and see where he is on track at the moment. He's trying this out on the soft tires, aiming to start off on those to run a shorter stint apparently here. I think they might be accounting for a safety car incident on the opening lap of the Brazilian Grand Prix here. So we'll see if that's going to happen or not. I'm not sure. Of course, it's a really short run into turn 1, as we can see here right now, just after the start-finish line, getting a rung on that left-hander, and then swinging back around on the right hander, going around into the first few turns here. It's going to be quite interesting to see what happens because it's very tight going through those turns. As wide as it looks with about 17 plus cars on the grid, not going to be as fun as we expect it to be, at least for these guys on their end. They're going to have to be very careful to avoid damage to the cars because damage is on full with these leagues here. So they're going to have to be very, very careful to avoid taking any sort of damage, because taking a pit stop that early off in a race really can affect your finishing positions. And we're going to see how penalties work out as well, because we know sometimes penalties do tend to add up quite a bit. And that is currently Irish losing the car just a bit, but he already got lap time in a 109.011, puts him into P6 for now. And go down to the bottom here where he is Beefy on track at the moment. I think he's running in sector 2. Let's see if he's able to finish off and get maybe into the top 5 here at the moment. Looking to get a pretty good lap time here in a Renault, possibly making it over to qualifying 3 and see where he goes with that. Looks like Tango is out of the session, probably retired off in the pits. I think he's quite happy with his 107.4. He wants to start on those mediums apparently, because I think he just retired in the pits there. And yeah, definitely happy with that lap time. So I don't think he's too worried about that, because he's going to be a bit more focused on getting the fastest time in qualifying 3, where it really matters there in terms of starting position for the race. So far, Beefy is up to 5th right now, a 108.080. Not a bad time for him. Definitely looking good of making it over to qualifying 3 at this point here. Safdar here with the fastest lap time there in qualifying 1 is getting out on track here right about now. We're going to have a look at him, see how he performs here in this session, because looked pretty well so far in Q1, but let's see what happens in Q2. Bradfield currently on a lap, just did a purple sector 2 and on the mediums as well. Let's see where he finishes off with this current lap. Get on board just a bit here right about now. His teammate currently in 7, that's Irish there in the other Williams, and keeps as close as he can to that pit wall there. Goes up into 6 right about now, 2 positions higher than his teammate, and an even faster time on even on the slower tires. He's up with a 108.088 and very, very close after Beefy's time right about now. Literally just about 0.008 of a second separates the two of them from 5th and 6th. So just shows you how close these guys are actually getting with the lap time. So very interested to see what this race is going to be like. Let's go back down here right about now to Safdar in 14. About to get started with this lap here right now. Probably keep on board with him as he gets on through and see what a full lap is like around here on the Brazilian Grand Prix circuit. So going to be interesting to see where he stands in the end of qualifying 3 as well, because he does perform pretty well in qualifying. Want to see how well he gets on the restart here. I think Tango is just relaxing right about now, just having a look at these guys, see what they're doing, because I don't think he expects anyone to actually beat his lap time there at 107.4 on the mediums. I think he feels pretty confident about that. So let's see where he goes at the end of qualifying 3. Probably keep that back on the overhead cam and see what's happening at the end of the session. We're down to just about 6 minutes left right about now here in qualifying 2. And remember, it's only the top 10 drivers that are going to be making it on over into Q3. So we got a few drivers currently in the drop zone, and that includes Safdar here, but he just did a purple sector 2, so he's looking pretty good at getting at least maybe into the top 5 at the moment. Let's see where he goes as he gets across the line in about 3 seconds or so. And he gets the fastest lap in the session right about now, a 107.040, and goes about 4/10 faster than what Tango did. And that currently puts him with the fastest lap there in the session. He's going to hold off on that for now. We got about 5.5 minutes left. Let's see if anyone else is able to make a faster time than what he just did there. But that's quite an impressive time. We got Cody here, currently 13th with a 109.5. And you would expect that would be a pretty fast time. But I don't think it's going to hold off. I don't think it's going to hold up too well to take more into qualifying 3. And thank you very much to Gamer there for the donation of £2 that he just put on through to the stream there. Really do appreciate his support so far on the channel here. We also do have Red. So far we got Red Devil, we got Miss Mad, Cody, and Maddie all in the drop zone of getting knocked out of qualifying 3 at the moment. They gotta improve their lap times by some at least by a few tenths to try and get it up, at least we're down, because we got At least 3 of them are in the 109s. We got Red Devil in the 108s. He needs to improve by at least a few tenths. He can get himself up into the top 10. But of course, we know everyone's going to get out on a second, at least second or third lap here before the session comes to an end. And that's going to mean they're going to try and get a way faster time, which they probably will, because the track is getting a little bit more rubbered in at the moment, and we definitely expect to see some faster lap times as we go off further on into the session there. And we can see a few drivers on top of the board is currently just retiring off the session. I think they're quite happy with their times, because remember guys, qualifying 2, they're just basically working on their race strategy with the tires. It's qualifying 3 is where they're going to definitely have to make sure they get the fastest possible lap time for the best starting position on the grid to get started with that race. And we're getting very close after that right about now, just under 4 minutes left in qualifying 2, and it's been very exciting through the session so far. We started off with quite a bit of rain, and that eased off coming down to the end of Q1, dried out quite well, made a few drivers get out on track and get even faster times in, and definitely worked up into a soft dog, got the fastest lap in Q1. He's got currently the fastest lap here in Q2. So let's see if that's going to hold off going all the way to the end of the session now. So it's going to be a bit of a mix of strategies, at least with the top 10 for what I'm seeing so far. But of course, I'm seeing majority of the drivers in the top 10 have done their laps on the mediums. Now, of course, if they've done this, they want to do a faster lap, they're probably going to have to try it on the softs. But so far, as we can see, they're holding off on whatever they have at the moment. Down at the bottom of the grid, we got Mismatch with a 109.1, and he's done that on the medium. So he might cut out back on track and try a faster lap, possibly on the soft tires. We'll see how that's going to work. Bradfield here still on track. Possibly try to get a faster lap in, I'm not sure as yet. We'll see how that's going to work for him. And go on down to the bottom here at the moment with Maddie. He is not having the best of lucks. His teammate Beefy is currently up in 7th at the moment. And I think, so that's going to be one runner up into the top 10 so far. But let's see if Maddie's able to make it on in as well. And thanks to Gamer, another donation of another £2 for him. And shout out to Dean and there. He made a perfect F1 website. I do actually like the website that he made, because I actually checked it out, and it's actually quite useful to me. We're gonna put a link in or something for that, because it's quite useful to everyone on the F1 side of things, especially to get to watch all of those races, all the previous races that he actually uploads to the site there as well. Quite a useful website for us. Alright, I think we're coming down to the end of the session. I think I saw a bit of a drizzle for a second, or probably just a bit of a glitch on my end, I'm not sure. Anyway, let's have a look, see if we got Red Devil, Cody, Miss Matt is still down in the drop zone, not able to get a faster time in as yet. Trying to see if they're going to be able to improve that time. We got just about a minute left here in qualifying 2, and that's really not a lot of time for them to actually get this done. So we're going to see if they're actually able to improve their time or not. No problem, Gamer. We'll have a chat after the stream and take care of that. But thank you so much so far for the double donation at the moment. That's £4 so far, which is kind of equivalent to a little more in the US side when it's converted, because it shows a bit different on my side. But thanks so much for that, because it shows a little bit more on my end as well. And it should be updated down in that little bar down at the bottom. Hopefully it is updated, but I'll have a look at that and see what's happening, because I was just setting that up today. Alright, so down to last 15 seconds left here in qualifying 2. I think that's going to be it there right about now. I think everyone's getting back into the pits. I think Matt is out on track still. He's made it up into P10 so far, so at least I can see that's not too bad for him. And provided that the other cars down at the bottom of the grid are currently out of the qualifying session there, they're all back into the pits, I think he's going to hold off and probably be able to make it on over into qualifying 3, which is not going to be bad for Renault so far, because Beefy is going to be a bit happy about that his teammate is making it over to qualifying 3. We'll see if they're able to make a really good starting position at that point there. Why doesn't the money bar update? I have to have a look at that. I'm not sure why it hasn't updated. I was trying to set that up before we actually got to streaming here, so I have to have a look at that and see why it is not updating, because it's supposed to. But I'll have a look into that. I'm not able to do that right about now, I think. Let me have a look. No, I won't be able to have a look at that right about now. I have to check it out just after the stream, because it's supposed to update as we go along with it. Alright, we're just waiting for the results for qualifying 2 right about now. I think someone else is still on track, or no, that's Marcus's car getting into the pits there right about now, so we're just waiting for that. And yep, he should be getting into the pits any second, and then we'll have a look at that. Maybe it's on a delay, I'm not sure. Add chat box for next stream. Yep, I can do that, no problem. I was thinking about doing it, but I didn't actually get around to that one there before we get started. Okay, so qualifying 2 results, guys. Sorry about that. I was a bit distracted. So, Soft Dog get the fastest lap once again, but he did it on the soft this time. It's a 107.040, but I think he had it on the medium before. Tango goes second fastest with a 107.4. Not too bad. Irish third, Treasley in fourth, Marcus in fifth, Nick there 6th. We got Beefy in 7th, Bradfield in 8th, and Mikey in 9th. And Maddie barely scrapes it down over into P10 there to make it over into qualifying 3, so not too bad with that. We'll have an entire look at the entire grid before we do get started with the race during the formation lap there, which I think it should still be on. So we'll have a look at that by the time we get around to that. So that's why I haven't really called out from 11 to 14 so far. And the chat box is not a bad idea, so I'll be adding that on stream probably right around just above where that map is. So I'm having a look at it right now about now, so I'll have an idea where to put it when I do add it onto the stream, just to make sure it's not blocking the track map that's currently showing on stream there. Okay, so into qualifying 3 here right about now, 12 minutes on the clock, and it's already down by about half of a minute, and we got cars already heading out on track. Only 10 drivers in this one, and it's going to be a very short qualifying 3 session here, 12 minutes, so they're going to get a rush on with this and get their lap times in as quickly as possible before the start of the race, because this is where they're going to, this is what is actually going to determine their starting position within the top 10. So let's see how well these guys are going to perform here. I think both Williams getting out pretty early. I think that's Bradfield out in front, and he was the first car to actually get out on track and try to get a lap time in. So he's on his out lap right about now, and I think everyone is currently following on with him. Everyone is going to be on the soft tires, so we're not going to be focused too much on that here at the moment. Just going to keep the track map on and have a look at the leaderboard as we continue on with this. So let's see what the lap times are going to look like as they start to come in, which they're going to come in very, very quickly on this one here. Okay, so we got some lap times coming in already, down to just under 9 minutes here left in qualifying 3, and fastest time so far goes to Nick there at 107.1. Well, I think that's going to be changing around quite a bit, so I'm just going to let it go for now. Where is Irish on track? Invalidated his lap, and Mikey here running in sector 1 at the moment, going into sector 2 right about now. So far Tango takes away the fastest time, 106.7, and that's going to be I know he's gonna be held for there, at least for now, until someone gets a faster time. And let's see how that's gonna work. And yep, I will increase the size of those boxes down at the bottom there. I gotta work on that. So at least by the time we get to the next esports stream, which is gonna be on Sunday, we should be able to have that just a bit bigger there. So hopefully that is set up just a little bit better. We'll see how that's going to work out. I'll have to run a bit of test stream on it as well before we do get to Sunday, so we'll see what's going to happen. But I'll take care of that, and we had at the chat box in, and any other recommendations, let me know. I'll probably have it added in before the next stream on this weekend. Okay, guys, down to just about 7.5 minutes left right now in qualifying 3. Lap times are coming in very, very quickly, and I think everyone's going to get back into the pits just a bit, and then we're probably going to get back out and try to get a faster time in. Currently, as we have it, Tango holds on to provisional pole for the start of the Brazilian Grand Prix, a 106.7, and that's quite an impressive time for the moment at least. Nick currently second fastest, a 107.1. Savdar third fastest at 107.2, Tree Slayer fourth fastest at 107.3, and we got Beefy fifth fastest at the moment, 107.4. Bradfield down to 6. We got Mikey in 7th, we got Maddie in 8th, and we got Marcus there in 9th. All of these drivers currently in the 1 minute 7 seconds at the moment, except for Tango there, 1 minute 6 seconds, so he's on his own. He's using a bit with his own bit of little word at the moment, so we'll see if he's able to keep that time in P1. I'm not sure if that's going to hold off, and then everyone gets back out on track in just a bit. Down to just about 6 minutes 40 seconds, and we know everybody's going to get back out on track in just a bit here. And let's see what's going to go off with him then. We think we got Mikey getting back into the pits at the moment. Alright, so we already got Nick on a second outlap here at the moment. This is where it gets a bit interesting. Going off to the end of qualifying 3, those lap times are going to be changing off quite a bit as we close off this session in just a bit here. So 6 minutes left in the session right now. Everyone currently in a 107 except for Tango, and now Tree Slayer goes even faster, a 106.9. He misses it by 2/10 to get past Tango at the moment, and that's going to be quite close between the two of them. I think it's going to be even a bit closer as we get closer to the end of the session. Let's see how the times change as we get at least to a minute or two left in qualifying 3 here. Alright, so we got Nick on a second hot lap at the moment. Let's see if he's able to improve his time. Currently down to P3 for the start of the Brazilian Grand Prix at 107.1, and he's really not that far off from getting provisional pole here. He just needs to improve that time just a bit more, and I think he might just be able to do it if he actually gets a way faster lap here. Let's have a look at the sector times, because currently as he has it, I don't think he got a proper sector 1, but if he could manage a proper sector 2 and 3, he might just be able to steal away that provisional pole away from Tango there. Tree Slayer might be on route to getting it as well when he gets back out on track. Currently Safdar at the moment on a hot lap there again, so he definitely is trying to improve his time. He's currently in sector 2 at the moment. Not sure if he's having any purple sectors or not. We're going to have to switch on over to him in just a bit and see what's happening there at the moment. Actually, no, he's invalidated that lap wherever he's running on track, so he's not having the best of luck. And currently a purple sector 2 here for Nick as he is about to get across the line here at the moment. Let's see if he improves the time at 107.162 at the moment, and he goes across even faster, goes up into P2 now, 106.899, goes a 10th faster than Tree Slayer, puts him down to 3rd. And he's looking pretty good so far. Still might have a chance of doing another lap here if he does need to, but let's see how that's going to work out. Safdar will have to get another lap started if he wants to try and improve his time. And Irish just got a lap in, actually. I thought he didn't have a lap as yet, so he didn't have one. Just got one in and got a 107.002. Goes up into P4 for the start of this race so far. And let's see if he's going to try another lap before the session comes off to a close here. Safdar about to get across the line, starting a new hot lap here at the moment. Definitely trying to improve that time, so let's see how this is going to work out. Marcus down to 10th at the moment. That's the worst possible time you can get, because I think that's the one advantage you have by making it in on over into qualifying 3. The worst position you're starting in is P10, unless you somehow get a 5-place grid penalty for doing something stupid in a qualifying session. And that's an invalidated lap there. Let's see how that's going to work out. Who else is currently on an out lap? We got Prix about to get started on a hot lap here right about now in the racing point. He currently leads the Drivers' Championship at the moment by a hefty number of points, I gotta say. So I think he's going to have that wrapped up either way. And because we're almost at the end of the season. It's round 19 at the moment here of 21. So just about 2 or 3 races more to go. So far he's doing pretty well with that. So I don't think we're even too concerned about what position he gets at the end of this. But I think he's still trying to get as much points as he can before closing off the season. But we'll see how it goes after the next season coming off. And quite an interesting reaction from everyone so far for the stream that we got going. So thanks to everybody who has currently joined on to the stream to watch the race here this evening. If you're still on joining on with us here, please feel free to share the link out. And thank you guys for joining on. Please make sure you guys do like the stream and make sure you guys are subscribed to the channel. If you're new on here, if you haven't done so already, I think Nightbot has been doing a job reminding you guys of that. So that's why I haven't been much on that so far. Alright, we got Tracer about to go across the line. Does he go faster? And doesn't look like he improves the time at 106.970. So still there in P3 at the moment. Nick on another outlap. 2 minutes left in qualifying 3. And it's coming down quite close down to the end of the session right about now. We got Mikey here in 5th. Currently invalidated that current lap that he's on. So that's not going to work out too well. We got Marcus down in 10th. He's trying to improve his time here right about now. So let's see if he's able to get a faster time in before this session comes off to an end. And we're getting right down to that point here at the moment. So he needs to just be in a bit more of a hurry on this. And maybe avoid invalidating this lap. And goes a little bit wide there. I honestly thought that would have been an invalidated lap there for a second. He went quite a bit wide on that one. And invalidated the lap, unfortunately, with 1:16 seconds left. I don't think he's gonna have enough time to get another lap going here unless he gets across the line in time to actually do that. Maddie here in the Renault running possibly, I think he's in sector 2 running. Not sure if he's trying to get a fast time in or not. Quite a few more drivers on their out laps again, possibly trying to get another lap in before the end of this session. Tango still holds on to provisional pole at the moment at 106.7. Nick just a 10th behind him in P2 with a 106.8. Another 10th behind that is Treesler in third at 106.9. Extremely close between top 3. Actually even going on further down because another 10th behind him is Irish with a 107.0. And then we got Mikey, another 10th behind, 107.1. Another 10th behind is Savdar, 107.2. Then 2 tenths behind that is Beefy at 107.4. Another 10th behind Bradfield at 107.5. And then another 10.6 and goes on through like that. So very, very competitive with the grid that we got here for the top 10 so far. And very interested to see what the start of this race is going to look like. I know these guys are pretty well, so I expect it to be very clean. I'm not sure what's going to happen down in the midfield, though, because it's going to get quite a bit bunched up with the cars trying to get through the first sector of the track on that opening lap. And that's the end of qualifying 3, guys. So whoever's currently running a lap will be able to finish off the said lap, and then that's going to be it. We'll see if the results are going to change as it is there right now. Nick goes across the line, takes away provisional pole away from Tango, goes at 106.773, 200th of a second faster. Quite an impressive time. Tango still on track here, about to get across the line here, and he's on a hot lap at the moment. Let's see if he gets a faster time in, and possibly, nope, not gonna get it. I don't know why he just drove that car straight into the barriers there, getting into the pit lane. That was quite purposely done by him. Alright, so I think that's about it for most of our drivers there. We got BP and Sofdar still running on track, and looks like BP has invalidated whatever lap he's running on, so we'll have to finish as it is there right about now. Sofdar finishing off his final lap here, and I'm not sure if this is going to be a faster lap or not. He might try to finish it. Let's see if he does get a faster time in. And goes just a bit faster, actually. It goes up into P5 now, 106.9, and that's going to hold up pretty well for the start of this race as it is there right now. Nick taking the provisional pole away, though, from Tango Dong on the final lap was actually quite impressive of him, just by 200th of a second. Very impressive time so far with him, 106.773, and Tango there in second with a 106.798. Irish will have to start down there in third with a 106.814. Very impressive time for him as well. Then we got Treasley and Sofdar separated by another 200th of a second, so quite close up at the top 10 as we have them here at the moment. We're going to see how well that restart is about to go. Right now about to get down to that point. Just waiting for these cars to get back into the pit lane here at the moment, or just get across the line, whichever one comes first. And then we should be able to get straight into the race session itself. And let's see how clean that race start is going to go. I'm not sure what you guys think is going to happen here. You guys think we're going to have a safety car or a VSC not opening a lap before we get to the end of Sector 1? I'm not sure, but it might just happen depending on how much drivers are willing to fight for positions here, because coming this close after the end of the season, they're definitely fighting off for points to try and improve their position in the driver standings as it is. We'll probably have a look at that during the race session itself, if we do have a safety car or maybe even a VSC, and see where we stand with that so far. Alright, so we should be able to have a look at the top 10 results. It should be the same that we had there in just a minute, but I just still have back a look at it. So Nick is going to be starting P1 on the grid. Tango is going to be starting in second. Irish will start third. Treasley in fourth. Sofdar fifth. Mikey in sixth. Beefy in seventh. Bradfield eighth. Maddie there ninth. And Marcus in 10th. Not a bad position so far for the top 10, and quite an interesting fight for those positions as well. And we'll now head straight off into the race session and await the formation lap to begin. Okay, so on with the formation lap here right about now. Let me just get back to the mic where it should be. Alright, so we should be good. So, 18 drivers in the session. Looks like Robbie has joined us on for the race. So, not a bad number to get this race on their way with. And now, as we have it, it's going to be a 36-lap race here for the Brazilian Grand Prix. And, let's get a few stats up on screen before I do get anything else going. At the moment, let's have a look at the tires and the starting grid as it is. So, Nick getting the fastest lap there in qualifying 3 will be starting P1 there. Tango is going to be starting second behind of him. Irish is starting third. Treasley will have to start fourth. Sofdar starting fifth. Mikey starts sixth. Beefy starts seventh. We got Bradfield will be starting in eighth. Maddie there will be starting ninth. Then we got Marcus in 10th. Jose in 11th. Red Devil starts 12th. Cody starts 13th. Amazing Matt Turt's 14th, Mr. Rage in 15th. I'm not usually seeing him down there. And Seb there starting 16th, Neil there 17th, and Robbie joining on late will start 18th on the grid. And as you can see, majority of our drivers have chosen to start on the medium tires, which means they're planning to run a much longer stint before actually doing a pit stop here in this race session. But of course, they have to account if there's going to be a safety car issue on the start of this race, which we're about to see in less than a minute time or so, as we're getting through sector 3 right about now, getting these cars back reformed back on that starting grid and getting ready to get started with this race here right about now. So we're going to keep an eye on the top 2 and see who gets a better start off the line, and then try to switch it on through to the midfield to see how they get through the first sector of the track, and who gets the best possible start going on through. Predicted pit stop strategy, as we can see, it definitely might be just a 1-stop for some of these guys on the mediums, or possibly a 2-stop for those mostly starting on the soft tires. We'll see how it works out for them in that case, and we're going to leave this on position changes so you guys can have a look at that as we get on through, because it's a bit difficult for me to keep track of every single thing as we get on through the start of the race. So we're going to switch on over, just waiting for the red lights to start to go off there, and then we should be ready to go here. Alright guys, so good luck to the drivers. Hopefully we have a clean start to this race, and hopefully 0 safety cars. Will be for a lot of fun to see that happen. I really hope we're not glitching right now. I really hope I'm not glitching right now, because we're still waiting, and that is not a good sign. Definitely looks like a glitch. Okay, so looks like we might have to get the lobby restarted for the race, because it doesn't seem like that's going to be getting started anytime soon. Alright everyone, apologies about the disruption. I think we're back on and should be fine to go. Hopefully not another glitch. Does tend to happen sometimes twice in a row, but hopefully we should be good. Hopefully everyone remembers to put back their setups in place before we get started, and I think it's going to be a bit of an advantage for those in the top 10 should be having a fresh set of tires on this one. Of course, everyone will have to keep the same starting position and same tire type that they had before we got the bit of a glitch happening. Okay, so we'll be doing back the formation lap once again. I don't think I have to go through back that with you guys, as we already went through that for just a bit, and we're just gonna wait for you guys to get back around and get started with the race telemetry. We're gonna keep that just hidden for now until we actually get back. We'll actually get started with the race itself, and we'll probably put it on by then. We do have Dan Murphy joining on the session with us, starting in 19th, of course, on the grid. So at least we do have 90 drivers on. Now just one short of a full grid, but still quite enough to work with. And we can see what tires these guys were going to be starting on. Majority of our grid, as we said, starting on the medium tires. And we have a few cars that will be starting on the soft. We'll see if they get a bit of an advantage of that race start that's just about to come here right about now as we get through Sector 3. And let's see how the pit stop strategy is going to work for them, because that's going to be probably a two-stop strategy they're working with 36 laps in this race, and those on the mediums probably going to try for a one-stop strategy, doing a medium to hard strategy here. We'll see how that's going to work for them, or if they're probably going to do a two-stop as well. I'm not sure, but we'll see how it works out. Either way, it's going to be quite an aggressive strategy to try and go for a soft to hard strategy, possibly doing a one-stop alone to the end of the race, but that's just going to be dependent on safety cars here right about now, so see how that works out. So we're going to keep this here on position changes as usually we do, so you guys have a look at that as we get started with the race. We're about to get reformed back on the grid here right about now. Nick starting P1, Tango starting P2, and Irish starting there in P3. All three definitely looking to get pretty good finishing position here. We're going to see how penalties work out with these guys at the end of the race itself, because we know quite a few drivers will be getting penalties before the race comes to an end. They're definitely going to be fighting pretty hard as well for finishing positions, so we'll see how that works. Final car down in the back there is going to be Dan Murphy trying to get into his grid slot right about now, waiting for that to happen, and then we should get started here. Alright, I think we're about ready to go. Let's have a look and see who's getting a better start between Nick and Tango out in front. That leaderboard might get mixed up, so let's just ignore that if it does. And we're about to get started here right now. Looks like Tango gets a bit of a better start than Nick and has the inside going into turn 1, so this might be to his advantage as they get on through with that. Out in front, I'm not sure who has the lead at the moment. It looks like Tango still holds on to that. And Nick down to second now. So he got a bit of a better start, got that lead up. Both runners going side by side through Sector 1 at the moment, so let's see if those two are going to be racing each other for that position or not. So far seems to be very clean as we get on through the entire grid. Down at the back there, Irish all the way in 19th. Didn't have the best possible start. We'll see where he ends up at the end of the race, but I think he might have taken some damage from the start of this race. I'm not sure, but so far we got his teammate Bradfield here in 10th at the moment, fighting with Jose for P9. Still going on through, but I think a decently clean start so far. We might have a few cars with some damage, as we can see Robbie and Kobe probably fighting it for P11 at the moment as well. Everyone seems to be getting through pretty well at the moment. That McLaren definitely looking to get up a few positions around that turn. Still side by side with a Haas of Cody, I think it is there. Yep, he's definitely still fighting for that position. He's not giving up. He keeps going around the outside and trying to get it wrong. Having a bit of a difficult time, but I think he finally got it done. He's up into 12. And that was Mr. Rage here. Not a bad position for him. We got Red Devil just up a position there. Still side by side, I think, with Cody is still getting up into 13th. And Cody falling down at least 2 or 3 positions so far. since the start of the race and not having the best possible start. They're up here in Robbie in 11th, still side by side with I think Bradfield at the moment, fighting it with the Williams. On board, we're going here right now on lap 2 of 36. Quite a long way to go as yet. He's going to pull it on the inside and try to get that move done. Actually gets it done quite neatly up into and there goes the leaderboard, getting a bit mixed up, so we're going to have to leave that and let it be for now. That should sort itself back through in just a bit. Going back out in front here at the moment, let's have a look at what's happening between Tango leading the race and Nick down in second. He lost the position from the race start there because I think Tango got just a bit of a better start on the clutch from him and got him into turn 1 because he did get a better position as well on the inside. So it does become a bit of an advantage, especially if you get the better start. And let's go on back over to tires here right now and see what's happening. Irish into the pits at the moment, repairing any possible damage he has taken thing from that car. I think he back out already. Yep, he's definitely... No, I'm not even sure why he showed he was in the pits, but it's just a bit of a glitch on his end because the leaderboard is still a bit mixed up. I think it's sorted back through right about now. As now we're in lap 3 actually here. Let's see what's happening out in front. Sabdar seems to be up in P2 for some reason. I'm not even sure how he got up there so quickly, but definitely got that position up. Nick might have made a mistake here and lost that position, so he's down to third in the grid right now. He's not going to be too happy about this. Of course, with Softar on the soft tires, he has a bit more of an advantage, at least for now, until those softs start to wear away from him. He's going to lose that advantage and possibly lose that position as well. But for now, he holds on to it here in P2. Nick down to third, 3 Siller running in 4th Siller at the moment, and Mikey another 4 tenths behind. Trying to have a look on who has the closest possible gap here at the moment. We do have a few cars into the pits, and this race has gone pretty clean so far from the start up to this point. I know we did have a bit of a contact with a few cars on the start because we do have some pit stops happening, and I know that I think Irish might have taken some damage from the start because he did change tires there as well. Out in front though, I think Tango is having the best possible race right about now. He has a lead of 1.4 seconds away from Sofdar. Even though he's on the medium tires, he seems to be gaining some sort of advantage, running in clean air out in front. He's having the best possible race because he's trying to extend that lead over 2 seconds if he can before DRS becomes a bit of an issue with him. Now we're putting telemetry down now, so you guys can have a look on what's happening on that end as well. So let's keep an eye down in midfield right now. Mr. Rage here in the McLaren chasing after Bradfield in the Williams. So the gap is still about 2 to 4 tenths between the two of them, but still continue on with that. Mitzi Matt down in 14, still chasing after Neil. I don't think he's having the best possible start. Down till in 14, a bit behind the racing points. He now has a bit of a gap to catch up with if he's trying to gain that position there. But so far doing pretty well. Of course, not so much for Irish though. I think he's retired in the pits from this race because just noticed that he DNF'd the session there. I'm not sure if he had an incident on track or just retired in the pit lane there. But he's obviously out of the race, unfortunately for that. But 18 drivers still remain here, so still we're having quite a good race going on through. We're going to go back up to here to Marcus, who's going side by side with the Haas right now of someone else. I'm not even sure who he was fighting off with there at the moment. Actually, no, sorry, he was fighting it with, I think with Nick, between Nick and Marcus, with 2 of them. And Marcus down to 7, but not able to get back that position. I think he's trying to push it through on the inside, but not enough of a gap to go with. He's going to have to risk it and do that. And I don't think he wants to take that sort of kind of risk at the moment here. With that gap as it is, he might just hold it off until the pit stops come into play just a bit later on in the race. On lap 5 at the moment, and he's going to hold off on that position for now. Try to keep the gap as close as possible. Beefy out in front of them, so he is holding on and trying to extend his lead a bit if he can, but I don't think he's having any luck doing that here at the moment. So we're going to switch on to the overhead view and have a look on how that's going. Out in front though, Tango is having some trouble right about now, keeping his lead because Safdar is catching up to him. He's now within DRS range, which is going to be a bit of a disadvantage on Tango's end because he's not going to be able to hold on to that lead much longer if Safdar is able to catch up to him. And here we have Nick and Beefy, I think, going side by side, fighting off for P5 at the moment. And looks like Nick holds on to that position ahead of him now. Beefy is down to 6, unfortunately. So the medium's not working as well as he expected there. Now he has Marcus coming up behind of him by about a second, not within DRS range as yet, but he needs to be a bit concerned about that going on through this race. So let's see, gap is about 3/10 behind Nick in the AlphaTauri, and he still is going to try to keep it there as much as he can. He's going to have the DRS advantage still, being within that 1 second gap, but not sure how much that's actually going to help him. And bit of a locker from Nick out in front, definitely trying to make sure he catches all of his braking zones in time. Doesn't want to be making a mistake at this point here right now, because that is going to cost him back that position that he just worked so hard to gain there. Out in front, we still got Savdar in that DRS range of Tango's car out in front for the lead of the race. He needs to get that overtake done before those soft tires start to go away from him. Otherwise, he is going to be losing that advantage that he currently is having. Gap is down by another 2/10, so now by another 3/10 as he's gaining a bit of time there at the moment, and he needs to make sure that that continues with that situation. We're going to have a look out front right now with these two, because gap is down to about 5/10 between them. So the soft tires are working well for now. I assume probably up to lap 10, maybe they'll start to give just a little bit. So he needs to be a little bit careful in terms of getting too close to Tango and staying there for a long time, because it's going to start to wear away the front of the front tires actually just a bit, because he's going to be running in a bit of dirty air at least for quite a few laps as he tries to get that overtake done with. As we know right about now, Tango is running a much longer stint than Savdar is. Savdar is going to have to pit a lot earlier than he will, and that will kind of affect his position just a bit. So he needs to be a bit concerned about if there's going to be a safety car in this race, at what point exactly is that going to happen. So far, we only have lost one driver from the start, and that was Irish there. I think he just retired off the session, so not an actual incident in the race itself. So far it's been pretty clean going on through. We're on lap 7 at the moment. You still got another 30 laps or so to go before getting to the end. Savdar is still chasing after Tango in the McLaren there for that position for the lead of this race as it is. So a very important position he's fighting for, and his tires are going to start to get a bit old on him as he's pushing quite hard on them. He's still within that 1 second range, having the DRS advantage, so that's going to help him out quite a bit in terms of chasing down that McLaren. But let's see how much longer he's going to have to just keep behind to try and get that overtake done with. And if this is not working out too well, he might have to think about doing a pit stop at some point, getting onto a new set of tires, and possibly trying to improve his position, and possibly try to get Tango on the pit stops. Let's see if that's going to go. Both of them are running on a bit of a different strategy at the moment. Got a few position changes happening down in the midfield. I think Mr. Rage and Marcus just switched positions there as well. We'll have to have a look on that and see what's happening down in the back of the grid. If we can, down with Neil in 13th here, chasing after the Mercedes of Jose there, and sounding a bit odd on that engine side. I'm not sure what's happening with that, but so far so good. Keeping at least about a 2 to 310 gap behind, and does have the Red Bull of Red Devil out in front of that, so he might be looking at gaining 2 positions with an overtake here if he can get this right. Out in front, I see Tango has extended his lead just a little bit. He's now got Savdar out of the DRS range, and it's actually starting to come back just a bit. Slayer gets his first penalty in the race and is about 3.7 seconds behind Savdar. Not fighting it too much, I see, because he's trying to just break the gap down, but it's not working too well for him at the moment. Neil's still about 3/10 behind Jose at the moment. Bradfield and Marcus are probably going side by side right now. Yes, they are. And it looks like Bradfield has gotten out in front, and he's going to keep P8 at least for now. Marcus back down to 9th, and we'll have to try and get back that position if he can. We'll see how that's going to work for him. Gap is still about 4:10, so he has a pretty close gap to work with. Nick there, who started P1 in this race, is down to P5 at the moment and not having the best of luck. He's trying to get back a few positions out from front if he can, chasing after the Mercedes of Mikey, and not having the best of luck as the gap is about 5/10. I think he just lost another 10th or 2 and is down by about 8/10 right about now. Let's see what sort of advantage he will get, because he does have that DRS advantage to work with. Has at least about 30% of ERS to use for overtakes, so he does have that at his disposal right about now. Of course, he does have Beefy in the Renault coming just behind of him. As you can see, a bit of locker for him going through turn 1 there, I think, for a second, and he's still keeping up pretty close. at least within 5 to 6 tenths behind, so still a bit of a threat at the moment. Needs to be extremely careful about that. We're into 10 laps in this race so far going pretty well, especially with race strategy. For those on the mediums, we know they're going to be running a long stint before they do a pit stop here, which they might just do a stop and then go straight on over onto the hard tires and go all the way to the end of the race. We'll see how the hard tires handle on track here, as we haven't seen anybody actually use them as yet. And we can see a few drivers do have penalties in this race so far. We'll have to see if that holds off pretty well for them going off to the end, because with 3 Slayer they're having probably about a 3-second penalty, but still I think it's going to affect things for him down at the end of the race. We'll see how that works out. But so far as it is, gaps are starting to form just a bit. Safdar now out into the lead of this race, and I think we just missed that. He's gotten ahead of Tango there, who I think is disconnected from his car here at the moment, as far as I can see. I'm not sure if he's gotten back on us yet. I think that's what's caused him to lose out on the lead of the race. He's not having the best of luck. Got into the lead early off on the start and has now lost it to Safdar, who's now out in front, and he's disconnected I think from his car, which has caused that to happen. And there goes the racing point of 3 Slayer getting into second place. He's now down to third. He needs to get connected back onto this lobby if he has any chance of actually winning this race at this point here, which he was standing such a good chance of doing. Now down to third. He might be losing that to Mikey coming just behind of him, and he's going to be ghosted, so they're going to be able to drive on through. Nick going to go up a position ahead of him as well, up into 4. Definitely looking forward to getting that position up before Tango gets back connected to his car. 1.7 seconds behind this is Beefy in the Renault, and that gap is breaking down very quickly, as when the cars are driven on the AI, it's really not going to be going as fast as you would expect it. And Tango has joined back the session there right about now, just as Beefy was getting past him, so I think he's about to take back control of this car. As long as it's not ghosted, we know he's connected, so I think he's trying to get back on there right about now. He might have to be loading back into the lobby, and he should be able to get back on. And we got his teammate, Mr. Ray, just got by him there, and he's now down to 7th. Was leading this race just about a lap ago, about a lap and a half ago at least. He was leading, and it's all the way down to 7th on the grid right about now. Definitely going to be upset about this one, but nothing he can do at the moment. And he's back connected here right now, so he's back on again, and almost at the point where Bradfield was about to get past him. I think he's about just a few tenths behind. Alright, so at least he's gotten connected back in P7. He's running behind his teammate right about now. So let's go back out in front, see how the race is going there. Our Delta times will be coming back on in just a bit. We should be getting right around to the pit stop time for those who started the race on the soft tires here. Let's see how that's going to go. I think that's Cody, back runner there, about to get lapped here by our race leader, who currently is soft tire. So we got one Haas leading the race and one down all the way down at the back of the grid, and a lap behind here at the moment, as we can see. So Safdar leading this race in P1. He has about a 3.3 second lead over 3 Slayer running in second at the moment. Mikey down to third. Got Nick there running in 4th, who started P1 in this race, not having the best possible start, but he's back up into P4. He's going to try and gain as much positions as he can here right now. He's about 7 tenths, average about 7 tenths behind the Mercedes of Mikey at the moment. And I think that's getting a bit closer here, but it's just a bit stuck on screen at the moment, so it's going to be updated in just a bit. We got to just ignore these bits of glitches that we keep having on this game. Got about probably about 2 or 3 months more we probably have until July 16th to get onto the new one. Hopefully we don't carry over all of the glitches over to that one, as we can only hope. So let's see how that works. Either way, yeah, 3.1 seconds the gap out front to 3 Slayer behind, with Safdar leading the race still. Let's see if he's able to hold that lead going further on into the race, because those tires are going to start to give up on him pretty soon, because 13 laps done on them so far, and that's quite a large number of laps to be done on those tires. And we can see the pit lane is open there generally about now for those who are running on the softs basically. So let's see if they're going to start to do their pit stops anytime soon, or if they're just holding out, waiting for a safety car to happen before they actually go into the pits, which is highly unlikely at this point in the race, because we've seen a very clean race start here with the Wednesday division, and it's been that way from the start to this point. I really haven't seen any sort of that big incident happened in the race from the start to this point so far, so I think we're running pretty well. We're still currently following on right now with Nick chasing after Mikey there for P3 in the race. Of course, that's a podium position they're fighting for, so let's see how that's going to work for them. I think Nick will be happy at least maybe to finish on podium here if he can for this race, because he did start P1, fought his way pretty well in qualifying 3 to get to that point and get the fastest lap in for that. So we'll see how it works for him going off to the rest of the session. A few more close gaps that we do have is down further down at the back here. We got Beefy in 5th at the moment, chasing after Nick there. He's trying to get up a position if he can, but needs to get just a bit closer if he wants to get that overtake done with, because right now he's within the DRS range of the AlphaTauri in front of him. That is Nick there, but still needs to get just a bit closer, at least about a 10 to 210 close enough to actually get an overtake done with. We'll see if he's able to actually get that done with. We'll have a look on board with Nick here at the moment. He's getting pretty close. Mr. Ray just behind of that by another 5-10, so still a pretty close gap between all of them. There's a bit of trainer cars coming on through. From Lean there, he's about 20 seconds behind Marcus, so our top 9 are running pretty well. A bit of a gap going to P10 and then to the rest of the grid down at the back. Let's have a look with Mr. Rage here at the moment, chasing after Beefy, but let's see how close he's actually able to get his gap, because it's closing in quite fast right about now. Out in front, the lead is still being extended just a bit, 2.6 seconds right now with Softar out in front, and he's having the best possible time leading the race, and I think he's going to be quite happy about it, trying to keep that extended for as long as he can before doing his pit stop. And we're on to lap 16 of 36 right about now. We got about another 20 to 21 laps to go in this race, so still quite a way more to go before we actually get to the end here, and we're trying to see what sort of strategy these guys are planning to run. We see a few cars down at the back of the grid have already switched on. I think Jose has already switched on to the hard tires. He's going to go all the way to the end possibly on those. At the moment as we have it, go soft are still running with those soft tires. 15 laps done on them so far. I really would have thought they would have started to give up on him, so I'm trying to have a look if he's losing any sort of grip there right about now with the gap that he has. He seems to be increasing just a bit, and a bit of contact between Beefy and Mr. Rage at the moment in the Renault and McLaren going through here, still side by side, and this does not look like it might end well if they continue like this for at least another lap or two. We'll see how that's going to work. Some very minor contact with that front wing of the Renault, and looks like Mr. Rage has gotten the position up into P5. Now Beefy is stuck between two McLarens, which really is not a good position to be in at this point in the race. He needs to get past Mr. Rage and get back that position, but I'm not sure if he has the pace to do it at this point here. We're trying to have a look on board with him if he's able to get by. He's going to have the DRS advantage, but so will Tango just behind of him, who was leading the race earlier on, so he needs to be a bit careful with that as well to see how that's going to work. But some very close racing going on so far. The overtakes, I think, have eased up just a bit. We still have position changes happening as the McLaren of Tango goes side by side right now, takes it around the outside of the Renault and gets the position up actually quite easily. An excellent overtake done by Tango. He's up into 6th, following on with his teammate right now. So Beefy is down to 7th, still about 2 tenths behind both of these McLarens. Might still try to get that position back if at all possible, but he seems to be losing just a bit of time right now. Those tires might start to go away from him just a bit, depending on how fast they're wearing away at the moment. I'm not sure what the percentage of the wear is at the moment. We'll see how soon he does decide to do a stop here, but we got Softar out in front, still leading this race. Marcus running in 9th. Both of them have done 16 laps so far on the soft tires and is still going at it, which definitely tells us that those mediums definitely has a longer way to go in this race before actually giving up and having these guys go into the pits. And we typically got Softar in the pits right about now, so Treasley will take over to lead the race. And having a look at what tire Softar is going to go on. Is he going to try and go on to a set of hard tires and go to the end, or possibly a set of mediums? But will that be able to take him to the end? And doesn't look like it will, because he just did half of the race on the soft tires and he's going on to the mediums, which means he's going all the way to the end on these set of tires here right about now, and he's going to be back out quite a way back on the grid here. Of course, all of these cars in front of him will have to do a pit stop at some point in the race, because with the trial race, one pit stop will be mandatory here, and because they will have to use 2 different tire compounds in a race otherwise face a penalty or disqualification at the end of it. So let's see how that works out. So Savdar is back out on track after his one and possibly only pit stop here. He's onto the mediums on lap 18 at the moment, halfway through the race, and he's out in 9th. So he's on a pretty good position with 8 cars in front of him. Stands a pretty good chance of getting back that lead once everyone takes a stop here, because everyone in front of him currently running on the medium tires with the exception of Marcus there, who's done 17 laps on his set of tires, and Savdar is definitely looking to get by as he's right up to the rear of Marcus's car at the moment. So let's see how much longer this is gonna last, because the gap is just about 3 tenths between them going on to that pit straight there right about now, and he's gonna have the DRS advantage as he comes around the outside, and looks like he gets that position up quite easily through turn 1. So he is now up into 8th, Marcus down to 9th, and he should be taking a pit stop at this point here. But Savdar doing pretty well. He did get fastest lap in Q1 and Q2. I think he was not able to get it in Q3 unfortunately, but still performed pretty well in qualifying on track here. Now we're going to go out in front just a bit. We'll have a look back at Savdar, see how he's working his way up the field. Now out in front we got a 4-10 gap between Mikey and Nick here for 2nd place in the race. Treasley currently leading with about 5.4 seconds ahead, and he does have a penalty, so we're going to see how that works for him. The rest of the cars that have penalties are down at the back of the grid, with the exception of Matty there in P14, now P13 actually still switching it a bit down at the back, so we'll see what's happening there. And Nick finally into the pits here right now, getting a change of tires and going on to a set of softs, which means he's possibly doing a one stop as well, because just about 16.5 laps left in this race, which really they can pull off on those set of soft tires, because we've seen Savdar do just the same amount of laps on them. So definitely is possible at this point in the race. So we'll see that's what the plan is here at the moment, because I think Savdar pulled off at least 17 or 18 laps on his set of soft that he started the race on. So I think with some good tire management, it's actually possible to get to the end of the race with that set of tires there. So really some interesting strategy going on here for the Brazilian Grand Prix so far with PGL F1. So back out in front, let's follow on here what's happening at the moment. So we got Treasley still leading this race. 5.8 seconds is still what the gap is between him and Tango there for a second. Mikey's still running in 3rd at the moment with a 1 second gap, and they're now getting into the pits here. So we got quite a few cars out in front who have done at least about 20 laps on those mediums. They're now into the pits getting a change of tires, and they're definitely going on to the soft tires here to go to the end. So quite an interesting strategy play from these guys who started on mediums. They're now going to be on the faster set of tires going down to the end of the race. I want to see how this is going to work out for Savdar, because he's now up to 2nd on the grid, and he's about 7.6 seconds behind Mikey, who's leading. The only car in front of him, and the only car in front of him who needs to do a pit stop here. So 20 laps on that set of tires. As long as Mikey goes into the pits here, we'll have Savdar go back into the lead, and you will have Treasley 4.1 seconds behind of him. And he's going to be on very fresh soft tires, and that's not someone he wants to have behind him at this point in the race. With Treasley leading the Drivers' Championship as it is, definitely does show that he has some significant pace on majority of these tracks here that we have gone through for the season so far. So being he started up in the top 10, I think Savdar might need to be a bit worried about Treasley and maybe a few cars behind of him catching up to him before we get to the end of the race at lap 36. We're on lap 22 right about now as he just entered into there, and he now takes over the lead of the Brazilian Grand Prix as Mikey is into the pits, and Treasley now goes back into 2nd. We'll have a look at where the gap is, and it currently is 3.5 seconds, which really is not a lot of time, and we still got quite a number of laps left, just a bit over 10, so at least 14 and a half laps or so left to go in the race. So I think that's quite a bit of enough time there for Treasley to catch up. Of course, he does have a penalty, and he will need to get at least 3 seconds ahead of Savdar in order to keep the lead and keep the win here for the race itself. We'll see how that's going to work for him, but Savdar might still be looking at finishing on the podium here. Even if he loses that lead, So let's follow down the order just a bit and we'll have a look at BP chasing after the McLaren of Mr. Rage here. Still trying to get up that another position for here and get a bit more points here as well. So as it is at the moment, currently P5 for Mr. Rage, Beefy down in 6, 3 tenths behind. Mr. Rage, of course, does have a penalty, which is going to be a bit of an advantage here for Beefy because he will be able to gain an extra position if he is able to keep within a minimum of 3 seconds behind that car. And currently he is about half a second behind, so has the advantage at the moment, has the DRS advantage going through, has a bit of overtake to use, which he currently is using just a bit, going on back onto the pit straight here as they go into lap 23. Out in front, gap is down to 3 seconds, so Safdar seems to be losing some time there, with Trislayer catching up to him. We're going to see how that battle plays out going off to the end of the race, but doesn't look like it's going to end too well for Safdar. The gap is going down by a tenth every few seconds out in front there, and Safdar is going to have a very difficult time keeping that position by the time we get around to another 8 to 9 laps maybe. We'll see how fast that gap is going to break down. At the moment, our closest possible gap we have here is Beefy with Mr. Ray chasing after for P5. Also, we do have Dan Murphy getting up a position here, and I think he gets up a position on his teammate there, who's down in 12, and he gets the fastest lap there as well. So he's not doing too bad down at the back here in 11th. He's trying to get into the top 10, trying to get some decent points here for the race before this closes off as well, because he did join up the session pretty late. He started down there in 19th. He's up into 11th on the grid, so not looking too bad so far in terms of a finishing position. Doesn't have a penalty, so I think he's doing pretty well so far. Back up here with Beefy in 6, still chasing after Mr. Rage. We're going to have a look at penalties as it is here right about now and see what we're at. So penalties not so bad so far. We do have Beefy closing in very quickly here on Mr. Rage, trying to keep an eye on that as they go on through. And let's have back a look tires and have a look on board with Beefy here, see if he's able to get by and get that position up, because that will mean quite a few more points for him in terms of the driver standings there as well. Out in front, gap is down to 2.1 seconds behind Safdar and Trislayer, and we're going to keep an eye as well for that as it falls below 1 second. We'll have a look and see if that overtake is going to happen before the end of the race. We're already on lap 24 at the moment. Mr. Rage not looking too good there in P5 at the moment, because gap is between him and Beefy is about 2 tenths, and that might not end well with Beefy being the DRS range, and he has at least 60% of ERS to use for overtake here, so he has that advantage at hand. Mr. Rage has just about 20% less of ERS, so let's see how that works for them. I think Beefy is using as much of the advantage as he can. He's not using every ounce of ERS he has, though. He's trying to keep that for just a bit later on, and looks like he has a bit more advantage. He's going to try and take it on the inside, and let's see if he's able to get the position of. They're still side by side going through the first sector here, but it looks like he gets the overtake done quite cleanly without any contact, and has to hold back though. I thought he might have gotten it around the outside, but unfortunately he had to just hold it back there in 6, but still no contact between the two cars, so did go pretty well so far with that. Gap is still about 2 tenths, so I think these two might continue on with that gap going all the way to the end of the race as it is there right now. Now currently, as we have it for the driver standings, Beefy has 68 points and is currently in 9th with that, and he has Mr. Rage currently in 10th with 43 points. He does have quite a significant points advantage in terms of the driver standings, so I think he's looking to get quite a bit more on this race here to actually just make sure he keeps himself into 9th there, because he's looking to get up to Mikey in 8th, but I think that's quite a bit away, as Mikey is currently 8th on the driver standings but has 103 points, so at least just over 30 points difference, so I'm not sure how well that will work out for him. As we said, Trislayer is leading the driver standings right now, 240 points, with Walker in second, 150 points. Of course, he's not racing here today, so losing out some points on that. Liam as well, I think, not racing, so down here he's about 140 points there. Irish, though, 121 points, currently 4th on the driver standings, and unfortunately not going to be able to get any points here in this race to extend that or try to catch up to Liam there in P3. Clark is down to 5th with 119 points. Bradfield down to 6th, 115 points as it is. So interesting to see how that's working out. Racing Point currently leading the constructor standings with 363 points. Renault currently second, 290 points, which I think is why Maddie and Beefy are trying to get as much points as they can to catch up to Racing Point if they can before the end of the season, but not sure if that's going to be possible or not, but we'll keep an eye and see how that's going to work out for the teams itself. But as it is there right now, let's have a look back again here with Beefy and Mr. Race. Still, these two are still chasing after each other. Savdar still leading the race at this point here. Lap 27 right about now. Has about 10 laps left to go, and he's losing time. Or losing a lap, running out of laps at the moment to try and keep it out in front. Let's have a look, see what's happening, because that gap is now down to about 2/10. Tree Slayer slowly, well, actually not slowly, he's actually catching up pretty quickly. And he's going to be looking to get by at this point here right now. Now, interestingly enough, I see Tango and Tree Slayer both have penalties. So let's see what the penalties are. It's both 3 seconds for them. Same goes to Mr. Rage here as well. So Beefy is accounting for that to get up into P5 after the end of the race, even if he's not able to get that overtake done with. We're still following on with Tree Slayer here at the moment and having a look on how that gap is working out for Savdar, because Savdar is looking to lose that lead right about now, going into the next lap into turn 1, and that's the Racing Point ahead here. He gets that overtake done pretty well. Bit of more of an advantage on the soft tires going on through. That Savdar down to second now. 3.8 seconds, so Tango down in third. And if Savdar is able to keep a 3-second gap between himself and Tree Slayer going to the end of lap 36, he's going to be able to keep the race win away. Well, take the race win away from Tree Slayer there, but I'm not sure how possible that's going to be. Gap is already up to about 5/10. And it might continue to extend that way, because Tree Slayer knows he has a 3-second penalty. He knows he has to extend that lead away from Savdar to keep the race win here this evening. So let's see if he's able to pull that off at this point. And it's going to be quite interesting, because already up to 6/10. And Tango is going to try to catch up as much as he can to Savdar. Not sure he's going to have much of an advantage, with gap being about 3.7 seconds. And I think Savdar is pushing as much as he can on those hard tires, as he has enough life in them to actually do that as well. Beefy here up into P4. He's gotten past Mr. Rage now, and I think he's quite happy to be up in P4 right about now. He might be trying to get onto a podium position here for the finish of this race, because he's 9.1 seconds behind Tango there. Both of them on soft tires, so a bit of an even playing field with that. We'll see if he's able to get the advantage and possibly get up that position there. But I don't think he actually needs to get the overtake done. Beefy just needs to get within 3 seconds of Tango's car, and he definitely will be getting third place on the podium by default here, because of the penalties coming into play at the end. So let's see how well that works out, because down in the back we're trying to have a look at who's going to be finishing off the top 10, which looks like it's going to be Maddie there. Doesn't have a penalty. Dan Murphy chasing after him, pretty close up behind, but not sure how well that's going to work. Bradfield and Nick here fighting for P7. Sorry, P6, and Bradfield gets the position up away from Nick. He's down to 7th. Remember, guys, as we said, Nick started this race way out in front, not having the best of luck here, but still keeping a good position. He's still going to have some decent points in this race, but not the finishing position I think he expected to have going down to the end so far. So out in front, we still got Savdar in 2nd place, and his gap is currently up to about 9/10 at the moment, almost a second there. So he needs to keep that within 3 seconds. As long as he can do that, he has about 6.5 laps more left in this race. Provided he can keep the gap within 3 seconds, he gets the race win away from Tree Slayer, even though he crosses the line in 2nd and goes for that. But Tango there, I don't think he's going to be able to break his gap down in time. Even if he starts to break it down right about now, I don't think it's going to work too well. Nick is trying to get a position back from Bradfield, takes it on the inside of that Williams, and I don't think he pushes too much for the advantage and doesn't want to risk losing P7 at the moment, even though we knows that the car is about 8.2 seconds behind him. Seems like he has the pace though. Down the straight they go, and looks like he has the inside and might have the advantage of getting that position up. Williams of Bradfield is still trying to get as much points as he can here, as his teammate Irish is out of this race. And just notice that 2 more drivers are already out, Robbie and Cody out. I think they both might have just retired from the session. I'm not sure if they had an incident or not, because we didn't have any virtual safety cars or safety cars in this race, which is quite interesting to see coming up to this point here right about now. But has been a good race so far. I'm gonna go back out front to see what's happening here, because Savdar somehow is keeping the gap within a second between himself and Tree Slayer, so he might be looking at getting back P1 away from Tree Slayer. I think he wants to get the win by getting across the line P1 if he can. He's using every bit of advantage he has here right about now. All the ERS and the DRS advantage he has coming onto him, and he's using it. Beefy here back down to P5, still finding it to Mr. Rage going to the end of this race. Hopefully Beefy doesn't take a penalty here, because that's going to cost him that position down to the end of the race. And Mr. Rage trying to keep him and force him around the outside and squeezes him just a bit. Not enough of a gap to work with, so he has to hold it back in P5 for now, and gap is still down to just under 2:10. So a pretty intense racing between these two, fighting for P4. Actually possible, it would have been possibly going for the third place position on the podium there, but I don't think they have enough of a gap to work with for that, because the gap between Tango and Mr. Rage is about 11.5 seconds. So I think they're just fighting it off for P4 at the moment. Either way, Beefy's going to get it at the moment if things stay as it is, because the gap is 5/10 between them. Same goes for Tree Slayer and Salvador out in front. Tree Slayer will have to cross the line P1, but will have to take second for the finishing positions after the race, because Salvador will get P1 by default because of the 3-second penalty that Tree Slayer has there. We'll see how the penalties work out for the cars down at the back of the grid as well. So far it's going pretty well. We're on lap 32 at the moment, getting very close to the end, starting to run out of laps here in terms of drivers trying to get a position up. We got Bradfield still chasing after Nick. 7/10 is where the gap is between the two of them, and he's going to continue on with that. Neither of them have any penalties, so it's about finishing positions across the line for them at the moment. I think he's trying to close the gap going into these braking zones just a bit, get any sort of advantage he can. Back out in front here once again with Beefy. He might be following with these two for quite a while in the race, but it's the closest possible gap we have here at the moment. Other than this, we do have a pretty close gap out in front for the lead at the moment, but I don't think that's going to get too close at the moment, because it's still about 8/10 between them, because I think Salvador is having some trouble with these mediums at the moment. He needs to hope that Tree Slayer start to have trouble with those soft tires, maybe because he was pushing a bit too hard on them, but he still isn't going to get the race win either way. He just needs to avoid getting a penalty for the next few laps in this race, and that's going to be for the next 3.5 laps, I assume here, because we're already into lap 33. So just give it at least about 3.5 laps left to go. And Beefy is trying to get that overtake done with. He's forced to take it on the inside this time. I think he pushes it quite a bit through, but doesn't actually get side by side with the McLaren and has to hold back into P5. Still, he's running out of laps right about now. Just about 2 to 3 laps more to go in this race before he's able to get that overtake done with. But he knows he's getting the position either way, but I think he just wants to get past, wants to finish the race, cross the line in P4 and not get it by default there. Salvador, I think, will take the win either way. I don't think he cares about this at this point here. Just wants to get that race win. Gap is still within a second between the two of them out in front for the lead. And Tree Slayer has run a pretty good race so far. Salvador fighting it pretty well on those mediums. 15 laps done on them, and Maddie unfortunately is out of the race. That's Beefy's teammate there, so that's a less point for Renault at the end of this session here. I'm not sure what happened to that Renault down at the back. He might have retired the car in the pits as well. I'm not sure. Let's see if we can have a look as to where that possibly happened. I think it happened in the pits there, because we can see that car going into the pit lane there at the moment. Alright, so back out in front with Salvador at the moment on lap 34 here right about now. We're about to go into lap 35 pretty soon. So this race is coming to a close quite quickly, and drivers are running out of laps to get an overtake done with. Beefy still in P5, still trying to get past the McLaren of Mr. Rage out in front of him. Not having the best of luck though. They're both running on the just about the same set of tires, amount of same laps on them, I would assume. I think Beefy is 1 lap newer with his tires, but still I don't think it's much of an advantage to him right about now. I think it's just about how much of DRS advantage he's getting and how close he's actually able to get to Mr. Rage. Of course, Mr. Rage using his overtake at some significant point during the lap here, trying to keep himself out in front, and it seems to be working pretty well for him so far. Gap out in front is 6/10 between Tree Slayer and Salvador, and goes into lap 35 with that. Just less than 2 laps left to finish off this race, and Step has retired from the session as well. That leaves us with 14 drivers in here right now. We haven't had a serious incident in this race so far. Actually, I'm trying to have a look what's happened to Step there. Did he have a bit of an incident going through the getting into the pit lane or something? I'm not sure, because it seems to be that happened on track. I'm not sure, but his car has disappeared from the grid there, so I'm not able to see what happened with him. Anyway, let's get back to the midfield here with these two once again. And I think they've been at it for quite a number of laps through this race, fighting through for that position there for P4. And unfortunately, Beefy has taken a penalty in the race, so that's going to mean he's not going to get P4 by default. Let's have a look at the penalties, what they are right now. But of course, Mr. H took a penalty as well, so 6 seconds of penalties for Mr. H. Beefy has a 3-second. He still will finish the race and get P4 at the end of this. Safdar doing pretty well, hasn't taken a penalty so far, so looks like if he finishes the final lap, which we are on here right about now, he needs to just finish without a penalty, and he will take the win for the Brazilian Grand Prix. Treasley, of course, going across the line P1, but will have to settle for second place on the podium because of that 3-second penalty, definitely costing him a race win here this evening. Not sure how much that matters to him, but looks like Safdar's caught up pretty well to him. Not sure if he's going to be able to get by before they get across the line, or if Treasley would let him go by and get across the line P1, because he knows either way they're going to switch the positions after they get across the line. So let's see what's going to happen between these two, as we're finishing off Sector 3 here right about now. Final lap of the Brazilian Grand Prix here for PGL F1 Racing, Wednesday division, round 19 of 21. And that is these guys coming across the line in just about another 2 seconds. So Treasley go across the line P1, Safdar across the line P2, but takes away the win away from Treasley because of a 3-second penalty. So Treasley down to second on the grid. Tango goes across the line, takes third on the podium for that. Mr. Rage and Beefy coming across the line here right about now. These two have been at it for quite a number of laps, and they are going to switch positions after they go across the line because of the penalty situation that we have there. So Beefy takes P4, Mr. Rage has to settle for P5 on this one. Bradfield and Mr. Rage switches again, and Nick even goes up to P5 because of the penalties with the closeness of the delta times that they had. The gaps were so close that Nick goes up to P5. Mr. Rage is down to 6 on this one. Bradfield takes 7. Mikey takes 8 so far. And as it stands, it looks like Marcus will take 9th, and Dan Murphy will have to take 10th. Neil takes 11. Jose takes 12. Missy Man takes 13, and Red Devil will have to finish and get across the line for P14. Step, Maddie, Robbie, Cody, and Irish did not get to finish this race, unfortunately, and that's no points for them so far. But an interesting session coming from qualifying 1, qualifying 2, qualifying 3, going through this entire race. Has been some interesting battles going on through. Excellent racing from the guys though. We didn't really see any major incidents in the race, and we had a very clean start to it. And who got driver of the day? Driver of the day goes to Mr. Rage there. Even though he fell back a few positions because of penalties, he still got driver of the day, so not a bad finishing position for him. Having quite a bit of tussle with Beefy throughout the race as well. Alright, so let's have a look at the preliminary results, at least for now, until everything gets sorted through, if any reporting needs to be done to the race towards at the end of this. And let's see if anything will change with that as we have it. So, congratulations at least to the top 3 that we have so far here. Safdar takes an interesting win here for the Haas team with that finish there. Treasley, unfortunately, because of a 3-second penalty, has to take second on the podium. Tango finishes third on the podium. His gap and penalty didn't really affect him there. Beefy, 3-second penalty only against Mr. Ridge with a 6-second, finishes fourth on the grid. Nick takes 5th, Mr. Ridge down to 6 and gets driver of the day. Bradfield takes 7, Mikey takes 8, Marcus takes 9th, Dan Murphy takes 10th and fastest lap here in the session, finishing in the top 10. That's going to give him a bit of an edge there. Neil takes 11, Jose 12, and we got Missy Matt 13, and Red Devil there 14. Step, unfortunately, could not finish there 15, Maddie 16, Robbie 17, Cody 18, and Irish there was first to come out of the race there, finishing with a position of 19. No points on that one, and an excellent race from the guys there from PGL, so not a bad session at all. Thank you to everyone who joined on to the session this evening with us, and make sure you guys do leave a like on the stream. Don't forget to do that, and make sure you guys are subscribed to the channel. Next race session should be on Sunday at I guess 9 p.m. GMT, and that's going to be like 4 p.m. Eastern time for me. So I don't think we have any other races scheduled between now and then, so that's going to be it. We will be doing other streams as well, so do keep an eye out for that. And remember, the link to the Discord is in the video description, guys, so do check that out as well. Thank you guys for joining. I'll see you guys on the next stream.